What a year to buy football boots in, guys. What a year. So today I'm gonna give you my top 5 list of the best new boots released in 2022. And to be honest, it hasn't exactly been an easy list to make. Because I mean, we've had, 10 updates to the big silos from the biggest brands. Predator, X, Mercurial, Phantom, Future, Ultra, Alpha, Furon, Tequila, 442, to name but a few. And that's without mentioning all the great limited editions that have dropped on top of those. So yeah, it hasn't been easy. But I kinda had to narrow it down to 5. So these are the 5 best new boots released in the year of 2022, in my opinion. But as always, we start in 5th place with the new Balance Fearon V7. And the previous couple of generations of the Furon have generally been great boots. But for me, the V7s just, they take it up a notch. We have this super comfortable, very pliable, soft, thin, hypo-knit upper. There's a great fit in the boots for both narrow and wide feet. And I mean, they're speed boots. The touch is very sharp and minimal and feels really nimble on the ball. It's super lightweight, and it also has this extremely snappy, responsive outsole. So it just feels aggressive, like an OG speed boot should. And I'll be honest, for me, this is one of the contenders, the top contenders, in the best speed boot race. And for the 225 euros that it costs, I mean, I understand why a lot of people would be seriously interested. And I also don't understand how they're not more popular. Because they probably could and should be. And when we move on to 4th place, we have one of the latest boots to release, the Nike Phantom GX. Now, the Phantom series have been a bit hit and miss, but I genuinely think that the GX is rather impressive. Especially, of course, because of the grip knit upper. Now, it's really soft, it's very comfortable, really molds extremely well around the foot, but it also gives this refreshingly free sensation when you wear it. And then, of course, it just adds this very unique sensation of grip and just a slightly better, more, I would say, natural sensation of control on the ball. And that's something I really like that in the Phantom GX. And somehow it just gives me the feeling of the same uniqueness that I remember the Hypervenom 1 giving me. And it's all good. But the reason that the GX is not higher up the list is that for me the outsole is too soft and flexible and free. And I'm not a big fan of that. But the upper is phenomenal. And speaking of phenomenal, the F50 adizero Battle Pack Leather remake also falls into that category because it's just such a perfect football boot. I mean, you have the loveliest, thin, most pliable leather fullfoot you can imagine, great comfort in the midfoot and the heel, and when you put that all on top of the tooling from the X Speedflow, well, you have something that I understand why all the pros went absolutely nuts for this, because it gives you that trademark F50 ultra fast sensation. You get top level comfort and just that hint of elegance as well. And I absolutely love it. But its only flaw was that it was too limited and sold out too quickly, which meant that not a lot of people could really experience the genius of this remake. In 2nd place, we also have a, I would say, relatively new boot, the Mizuno Alpha Japan. And actually, I'll be honest, for a long time I considered running this as my number 1, because for me at least, it is close to perfection. I know those are big words, but I actually mean it. Now, the shape and the fit of this boot it's so next level. You have this grip liner on the heel and on the insole that just gives you this very secure but pleasant fit. Of course, you have this super thin, very pliable upper that gives you this barefoot nimble sensation on the ball, but like I mentioned before, with that trademark Mizuno fit and comfort. And the outsole is really aggressive and responsive too. So it just ticks more or less all the boxes for me. Except for one relatively important one, which is the price. Look, I get that this is built by hand, by skilled Japanese craftsmen in Japan, but it's 320 euros. and that's a little steep. I mean, I get it for the leather boots, but this is a synthetic boot. And it's just like, make it 250 or 270 euros, and this is easily the boot of the year for me. So that's your own fault, Mizuno. But before we get to number one, which you can probably guess what is by now, let me just give a quick shout out to a couple of other boots that deserve some praise. And the first one is my pretty battered New Balance 442 V2 for its excellent fit and just exceptional value for money. I mean, hard to beat these. There's also, of course, the Puma Future Ultimate DNA, which is just such a well-balanced boot in terms of touch and fit and comfort. It makes me really excited for the general release in 2023. And finally, of course, the Nike Phantom Ultra, which brought back everything we loved, more or less, from the Flyknit Ultra in a super comfortable package. So, what's not to like? Apart from the limited numbers. But yeah, these three, well done. And number one, the Superfly 9. Big surprise, woo! And I know it might be a bit of the easy choice, but I also think that it makes sense because the Mercurials do a lot of things right, and I understand why they're so popular. Now, the Vapor 15s are also solid, but personally, I like the Superfly 9s a bit more because of that tighter, more snug sensation in the heel because of the sock. And overall, it's just got a really solid upper, super soft and pliable out of the box. The lockdown is great, and it just gives you this sensation of wearing a speed boot. It's wired for speed, but also feels slightly more generally appealing with a good level of comfort. Nice and sharp on the ball, you know, the stop pattern is tremendous, really offers a lot of bite. And you have the Zoom Air unit in the outsole as well, which is really unique. It's not gonna be everyone's cup of tea, but personally, I like it. It's not gonna make you fast or anything, but it just gives the sensation of a little bit of bounce, but also being connected with the boot in a very nice and comfortable way. And I'll be honest with you, if money wasn't an object, I probably would go with the Mizuno Alphas, but I think that euro for euro, dollar for dollar, the Superfly 9 does a better job, so it's a deserved number one. So there you go, my friends, the top 5 best new boots to release in 2022 in my book. Because that's important to remember. This is my opinion, and I would love to hear yours in the comment section right down below. Now, of course, you might be asking,
where's the Mercurial New 3 Beta Japan? And
well, this list is for new boots released in 2022, and since it didn't, well, I couldn't really include it in the list. But guys, what would be on your top 5 list? Let me know in the comment section right down below as well. And remember that you can buy, well, most of the new boots in the link to Unisport right over there. Of course, if you haven't subscribed with the notifications on already, well, go and do that. And finally, if you love learning new football skills, the playlist right down there is phenomenal. I've said that a lot in this video, but it's great. And with those words, thanks for 2022. It's been a great year. I'm signing off. Cheerio.